What if I told you that trying to be smart with your investments actually cost you $11,620? Over the past 10 years, two investors started with the exact same $10,000. One followed the traditional advice: diversify across stocks, international markets, and bonds. The other ignored that advice and just bought the S&P 500. Today, I'm going to show you verified data that will shock you. The investor who diversified ended up with $28,522, but the simple investor, $40,143. That's a 40% wealth advantage for doing less, not more. I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened year by year with verified data from financial databases. And most importantly, I'm going to tell you why this might not happen again. Quick favor, hit like and subscribe right now so YouTube shows this to more people who need to see it. Let me set the scene. January 2015. Two investors, let's call them Sarah and Mike. Sarah reads all the investing books. She follows the Boggleheads approach: 60% US stocks, 20% international stocks, 20% bonds. Smart, diversified, safe. Mike? He's lazy. He just buys an S&P 500 index fund and forgets about it. Fast forward to November 2025, and we're about to open the envelopes. Sarah's diversified portfolio turned her $10,000 into $28,522. That's an 11.05% annual return, 185% total gain. Most investors would throw a party with those results. But then, we look at Mike's portfolio. His $10,000 became $40,143, 14.91% annually, 301% total gain. The gap between them? $11,620. And here's where it gets real. If they had started with $100,000 instead, that difference would be $116,000. That's a Tesla. That's a house down payment. That's retiring 2 to 3 years earlier, all because Mike did less. Let me take you through the journey, year by year, so you can feel what these investors experienced. 2015 was rough. The S&P 500 gained only 1.38%. International stocks actually lost 4.18%. Both portfolios struggled, but Sarah's diversification into international markets hurt her right out of the gate. Then 2016 and 2017 arrived, and the tech boom began building momentum. The S&P gained 11.96%, then an explosive 21.83%. Mike's simple portfolio was compounding beautifully. 2018 brought the first real test. The S&P dropped 4.38%. Both portfolios felt the pain, but they survived. Then came 2019, and this is where the gap started widening dramatically. The S&P exploded 31.49% in a single year. Sarah's international holdings gained 21.75%, which sounds good until you realize she was missing out on that extra 10% because of diversification. 2020 was the COVID year. Markets crashed in March, then recovered violently. The S&P finished up 18.4%, powered by technology stocks as everyone worked from home. 2021 was peak euphoria, 28.71% gains for the S&P 500. But then came 2022, and this is the year that broke all the rules. The S&P 500 fell 18.11%. Mike's portfolio got hammered. But here's what shocked everyone. Sarah's bonds, which were supposed to protect her, fell 13.09%. Her international stocks dropped 16.09%. Everything fell together. Her diversified portfolio's maximum drawdown was 18.2%, barely better than Mike's 18.11%. She took basically the same risk but had been earning lower returns the entire time. That's the worst of both worlds. 2023 and 2024 brought the AI boom. The S&P surged 26.29%, then 25.02%. The Magnificent Seven tech companies dominated, and 2025 through November, we're up another 17.18%. Over this entire decade, Mike's simple strategy demolished Sarah's sophisticated approach. So what the heck happened? Why did simplicity win so decisively? There are 3 critical reasons, and understanding them is more important than the numbers themselves. Reason number 1. The Magnificent Seven monopoly. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Tesla, Meta, and Alphabet. These 7 companies accounted for 30 to 40% of all S&P 500 gains during this decade. Think about that. 7 companies out of 500 drove almost half the returns. Meanwhile, international stocks couldn't compete. The US dollar strengthened massively against other currencies, which crushed international returns when converted back to dollars. Europe and Japan had much slower economic growth. China's government cracked down on tech companies in 2021 through 2023, devastating emerging market returns. And here's the key. International indices have far lower technology exposure than US indices. While the S&P 500 was riding the cloud computing wave, the AI revolution, and the mobile internet explosion, international markets were stuck with more banks, industrials, and commodity companies. The result, U.S. stocks returned 14.91% annually, while international returned only 7.76%. That 7% annual gap compounds into a fortune over a decade. Reason number 2. Bonds became a wealth destroyer. For decades, we were told that when stocks go down, bonds go up. That's why you diversify. 2022 shattered that promise. Stocks fell 18%. Bonds fell 13%. They moved together, violating the fundamental principle of diversification. Over the full 10-year period, bonds returned only 2.1% annually. Let me put that in perspective. Sarah held 20% of her portfolio in an asset returning 2%, while stocks were returning 15%. Every single year, that 20% allocation was a boat anchor dragging down her returns. Bonds didn't protect her in 2022, and they certainly didn't help her build wealth. They just made her slower. Reason number 3. Simplicity is speed. Every time Sarah rebalanced her portfolio, she paid trading costs. Her international and bond funds had higher expense ratios, typically 0.05 to 0.12% compared to 0.03% for the S&P 500 fund. Rebalancing created tax inefficiency, costing another 0.15 to 0.3% annually. And here's the psychological trap. Every time Sarah rebalanced, she was selling the winner to buy the loser. She sold U.S. stocks that were surging to buy more international stocks and bonds that were lagging. Mike never rebalanced. He just held on and let the winner run. Set it, forget it, win. Now, some of you are thinking, what about 10 fund portfolios? Some financial advisors recommend spreading your money across 10 or more funds covering different sectors, factors, and alternatives. The data is brutal here. 10 fund portfolios underperform 3 fund portfolios by 0.5 to 2% annually. Why? More funds mean higher fees, more decisions, and more opportunities to pick the wrong funds. The performance hierarchy for this decade was crystal clear. Mike's 1-fund approach returned 14.91%. Sarah's 3-fund approach returned 11.05%. 10 fund portfolios? They typically returned 9 to 10% after all the extra costs. Complexity is the enemy of returns. But wait, wasn't Sarah's diversified portfolio safer? Let's check the maximum drawdown. The S&P 500 fell 18.11% in 2022. Sarah's diversified portfolio fell 18.2%. They were basically identical. She took the same risk, but got lower returns for an entire decade. Diversification failed because everything fell together. Stocks fell, bonds fell, international stocks fell. There was nowhere to hide. Sarah thought she was being careful, but she was just being slow. Before you rush to put everything in the S&P 500, we need to talk about why this might not happen again. This was not a normal decade. The historical average return for the S&P 500 is 10.5% annually. This decade delivered 14.91%. That's 40% above the historical average. 4 major factors made this period unique. First, the US dollar strengthened dramatically, crushing international returns. Second, we witnessed a technology revolution concentrated in US companies, cloud computing, mobile internet, and artificial intelligence. Third, interest rates created chaos. From 2015 to 2021, rates were so low that bonds were unattractive, yielding only 1 to 2%. Then 2022 brought rapid rate increases that caused massive bond losses. Fourth, China's economic slowdown and regulatory crackdowns hurt emerging markets, which make up a large portion of international stock indices. History shows us that market leadership rotates. In the 1970s, international stocks outperformed U.S. stocks. In the 2000s, international won again. The 2010s and 2020s belong to the US. These cycles typically last 10 to 15 years. And here's the concentration risk nobody wants to talk about. 30 to 40% of S&P 500 gains coming from just 7 companies is not sustainable forever. These giants will eventually mature and slow down. When they do, diversification might save you from a painful reversal. So what should you actually do with this information? If you're a long-term investor with 20+ years until retirement, consider maintaining some diversification. The 3-fund approach has merit for future decades, even though it lagged this past decade. Don't chase last decade's winners into the next decade. If you're young and aggressive, a heavy S&P 500 weighting makes sense. You can tolerate volatility, and you have time to recover from any drawdowns, except the concentration risk. If you're near retirement, definitely don't abandon diversification based on one unusual decade. Bonds will have their day again when interest rates normalize and the economic cycle shifts. Capital preservation matters more than maximum returns when you're actually living off your portfolio. And the 10-fund portfolio? Just don't. Seriously, the verified data is absolutely clear. You're wasting money on complexity that delivers worse results. Stick with simplicity. Here are your big takeaways. From 2015 to 2025, simplicity crushed complexity. An $11,600 gap on just a $10,000 investment proves it. The 3-fund portfolio beat the 10-fund portfolio through lower costs and fewer mistakes. But the 1-fund portfolio beat them all during this specific decade. However, this was an unusual period with extreme US tech dominance, and you should not assume it will repeat. Finally, diversification didn't protect investors in 2022 when everything fell together, which changed the traditional understanding of portfolio safety. The verified data shows exactly what happened over the past decade. History shows that market winners rotate over time. The smart move is probably somewhere between pure simplicity and traditional diversification. What you definitely shouldn't do is complicate things with 10 funds and high costs. Let me know in the comments whether you're sticking with diversification or going all in on the S&P 500. If you found this data valuable, smash that like button so more investors can see these verified numbers. And subscribe because I'm testing more portfolio strategies with real data. You won't want to miss what I find next. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. Investment performance shown is based on historical data and projections. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Thanks for watching.